Good evening, citizens of Portsmouth. Welcome to our Portsmouth City Council meeting on today, August the 25th. I want to thank all of the citizens who showed up today for this very important business. Also, I want to thank our city staff who is in the audience and who will be assisting us today. I want to thank our visitors. Thank you for coming out tonight. We are looking forward to hearing from you too. Next, I'll go ahead and acknowledge our city manager, Mr. Stephen Carter, our city attorney, Mr. Derek Challenger, our city assessor, Mr. Stephen Edwards, and our city clerk, Ms. Deborah White. And I want to thank all of those who are joining us online. Now, moving forward with the agenda, I will ask that we all stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I would ask that all of my colleagues please note your attendance electronically.
Seven members of City Council are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now call for the minutes of a call meeting on July 28, 2026, and the minutes of a regular meeting on July 28, 2026. Do we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote electronically.
The minutes are adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the City Council rules for our speakers?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you. And I will add to that speaker statement tonight. We know we have a number of speakers tonight. I would ask that the audience please refrain from loud outbursts and disruptions of our meeting because it's very important business that we're here to conduct tonight. So thank you. Our first agenda item is public hearings. Item 26-194, public hearings on use permit applications. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing item for item A?
Yes, sir. Oregon Acres, resolution granting the request of Pro Home Builders, LLC, for a use permit to construct 6 townhouse units on approximately .52 acres located at 2400 Airline Boulevard, the General Mixed-Use Zoning District. The future land use map in the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for mixed-use corridor uses. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions. The actual resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2604, to Pro Home Builders, LLC, to develop 6 townhouse units on the property located at 2400 Airline Boulevard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Is the applicant present? Sir, if you will come forward, state your name and address. Well, your name, you don't necessarily have to state your address, but state your name You will have 10 minutes. You don't have to take the whole 10 minutes if you don't need it, but you have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished council members. My name is Juan Aponte. I'm the owner and applicant for this use permit. We're here tonight to respectfully submit the use permit application to allow for the development of 6 units attached residential townhome community on the rear portion of the property located at 2400 Airline Boulevard. The subject property is currently zoned as general mixed use, and the overall parcel encompasses approximately 1.5 acres. So we'll be only using the rear portion, with the front portion currently operating as a commercial office and headquarters for Pro Home Builders. We intend to subdivide the rear portion of 0.52 acre, which fronts both Oregon Avenue and the North and Kings Highway, formerly Airline Road, to the south. The rear section is currently fully paved with asphalt and has been historically being utilized as a commercial and vacant parking area for vehicles at this time. The proposed development would transform this underutilized impervious area into a high-quality residential use that provides transitional housing between commercial corridor of Airline Boulevard and the adjacent residential neighborhoods. Pending any questions, that's all I have. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from my colleagues on council? Councilwoman Thomas, ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the application you submitted. So when I'm looking at this property is where you said your current office sits in the front of the property. It used to be for the public old bank, correct?
Correct, Wells Fargo Bank,
Yeah, the
yes.
old Wells Fargo. So the proposed townhomes, just help me understand, is directly behind that?
Correct. So
property?
if you look at the current air view right there, is an L shape. So if you take a line and cut out that L shape towards the back, that essentially is equivalent to about 0.53 acres towards the rear portion adjacent to all the residential area. We intend to then keep the front parcel facing airline as the commercial office.
And that is your long-term plan as well? Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay. Okay, thank you. And is planning here? Yes. So I have a question, follow-up for planning, just to make sure I'm understanding. And thank you for the explanation that answered some questions I won't
problem.
ask. Since it's general mixed use, and there is a neighborhood kind of right behind it, and there's a school across the street as well, would these townhomes have any impact on future economic possibilities around that area? Just want to always consider best use of land. Is that something you can provide some context around, or was that a discussion in the Planning Commission meeting with this development?
Councilwoman Thomas will defer that to the
I'm
city
sorry,
manager.
Yes.
We'll defer that to the city
Mr. Carter,
manager.
I'll defer to you, but my question is for planning.
Absolutely. And I will ask Dr. Russell if she has information that she can share with us concerning that question.
I'll try. Certainly will try. Councilwoman Thomas, the multifamily townhouse use and the density proposed is a reasonable transitional use between single-family and commercial. That's a best practice for planning if we were in Portsmouth or if we were in Chesapeake. I didn't understand the part of your question about the economics.
Yes, so just considering best use, and I was trying to wrap my mind around where I know that property to be, what I know it used to be, in future, like if we utilize that, half of that property for residential, would it prevent other possible, we have other commercial uses around there, would it limit our future economic development around that property, if just due to traffic patterns, due to residential requirements, parking, et cetera? Are we limiting our future commercial development around that area? Because to me, that's a commercial corridor, even though it says general mixed use. So I'm trying to make sure that with the approval or whatever of this residential 6 townhomes, do we still have future economic, commercial use in the surrounding parcels? Because they're all commercial or general mixed use parcels as well. So I'm trying to make sure if I vote or approve for these 6 residential townhomes, it won't have a down the road impact on limiting what we can build there commercially, is what I'm asking. Not in this lot, but to the adjacent lots. Is that clear?
I believe you're asking about, does this set a precedent that
Yes.
would keep commercial
That's a better way to
development?
put it,
Okay.
yes.
So, but the area's developed. It's the immediate area, if you look at it, and what's not developed, they own. So they're controlling it. That area that's striped out. That,
This building.
right. And the proposal is to subdivide it out and to do residential adjacent to residential. And so that, multifamily residential.
So the one next to it, I can't see the number 24, the parcel next to it, is that commercial right now or residential?
The orange or the yellow one?
Beside the pink colored one, right beside the orange one, is not their property. Is that commercial or residential right now? Okay, that's commercial.
General mixed use.
So it could be either one?
Yes.
That's what you're saying? Okay. And by providing these townhomes here, it won't limit what could go into that next parcel for future use? It would still could be commercial, is what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other questions from my colleagues for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item UP-26-04. If you wish to come and speak on this particular item, you can come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes. Sir, if you would come forward, state your name, you will have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is David House, and I live in the Simonsdale District of Portsmouth. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. So I got a presentation before you with the Planning Commission schedule. So on June the 2nd, this came before the Planning Commission and was deferred. So in the description, it says the next scheduled meeting for anything postponed would be the 3rd Thursday of the month, which would have been June the 16th. We're actually on July the 7th. They held another meeting, and in the notes below, it says, due to lack of quorum, the Planning Commission scheduled for the June 2nd, 2026 item tentatively scheduled for June the 8th. So they had a June the 8th meeting, and then they moved it to July the 7th, which is out of character of the notes on the schedule. So there was no placard placed on the property to indicate that there was a change of date or change of time. Page 2 was the original thing submitted to the city, and it said 38 dumpsters are temporarily used for storage of debris. The gentleman said right now there's parking on the property. There's actually, I'll say, 15, 16 dumpsters still on the property. The dumpsters were placed in the area that caused the right triangle visibility to be obstructed, and you couldn't see it. On page 3, that's the placard that was placed on the property. The QR codes and the web address did not work, so citizens could not access the data. On page 4, at the top, Chairman G says, we also received concern regarding priority first disposal is a business. And the applicant says, we didn't know that we had to also have a business license. Said they spoke with Mr. Boone in zoning this morning about the violation. Currently, I spoke to the Commissioner of Revenue. There's no business license for first priority disposal at this location. They also addressed the secondary location at 3115 Airline Boulevard, and that has no business license as well. So Dr. Russell says my direction to zoning was to go ahead and issue a notice of violation for the unpermitted use of the current location. Page 5, Dr. Russell, they told Dr. Russell says, I was told that this application applicant needed approximately 30 days to move the dumpster. Well, they're still there. So at her direction, she directed zoning to issue the notice of violation. So I've given you three social media and web searches that shows the business is in operation at that location. And on page 7, I've given you a pictorial of what the townhouses are going to be looking like. So the bottom are townhouses located near me, and there's 4 of them. So those 4 townhouses basically represent the same as the 6 that are up top. The difference is, instead of going 3 stories high and 20 feet wide, they've gone like 30 feet wide and 2 stories high. So it's a total difference. So if you go to page 8, and in one of your work sessions, Mr. Moody talked about maintaining the character of the neighborhood. So I took pictures of the streets around the area. So the 3-story townhouse would be like a penthouse as compared to the properties that are located here. As you can see, they're 2-story houses, really nice. Actually, some of them have city council signage in it. There's ranch houses, and there's all kinds of other houses. So based on the stipulation that this property already has a notice of violation against it, issued by zoning for unpermitted use, I say that I don't understand how you can approve use when it's already got a violation against the property. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. My question would be through the city manager. Do we know that the property taxes are current on this property?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Manager, you have the floor.
I'm going to ask Dr. Russell if she has some information on that. I currently do not have information about whether or not those taxes are fulfilled at this moment.
Yes, sir. We have a receipt showing that the taxes have been paid in full.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this item, you state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Hello, good evening. My name is Alexandra Westfall. I'm speaking today on behalf of some residents in Oregon Acres. I live in West Haven, adjacent to Oregon Acres, and I spent some time canvassing the adjacent property owners when this was first coming up to the Planning Commission. I understand we are now here, which means it moved from planning to your desk. But I just wanted to speak a moment again to emphasize some of the concerns from the adjacent property owners, some of which you might already be aware of. But echoing what Mr. House just shared, there's concern about just the size and scale and density of 6 townhomes on part of this hatched parcel on the screen. Also, the fact that it's 3 stories and the adjacent properties are all nearly 1 story or a Cape Cod style home. So just being mindful, again, also the front bank building is still only like a 1 story structure. So just questioning what is being recommended or what is concept right now that is getting the okay for approval in relation to the context around it. Additionally, there's concerns about just general speeding down what residents call Oregon Highway. There is a school right there adjacent to the property, and they note that the drop-off and pickup lines can sometimes wrap around the street. So I understand the applicant has maybe more than the required off-street parking for the residences. I would like the same kind of consideration for parking that we discussed or was discussed in the public work session about short-term rentals to be considered for some developments like this and the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms being proposed and how that would impact the adjacent properties. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Thomas, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. So two of the comments, thank you, Ms. Westfall, that were just brought up in addition to the package, is kind of where my questions with the location, just knowing that location, knowing the neighborhood, when I talk about even just future development or best use of land, those are my concerns. And I was going to ask, were there any citizens that came to speak regarding this item at the Planning Commission? But Ms. Westfall just shared some of that citizen input. For me, I think, we're not getting more land. And one thing that, as a council member, that I think we have to be really careful about is just understanding what the future of our city will look like with each development. And we do need more housing. We do. Housing is a big deal. For this particular item, though, I think the design for me, publicly, it's not in, it doesn't align with the character of the neighborhood as so well put. So for that reason, not saying we don't need more housing, but I won't be supporting this one item. But I just wanted to put that out there. I think the citizens have brought up two really good points. And even when I drove by that location, it was hard for me to wrap my mind around these 6 townhomes going in that location. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to speak on this public hearing item, Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. My question, once again, through the city manager, have these violations been corrected? Are they still outstanding?
City Manager Carter, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'm going to have to defer to Dr. Russell to answer that question. She has more information on that.
The violation regarding the dumpsters remain outstanding, and a notice of violation has been issued.
Thank you, Dr. Russell.
Once again, this is a public hearing. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing, you're welcome to come forward and state your name. You will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Councilwoman Bryant, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the business license and the dumpster issue, which I did reach out to you this week, Dr. Russell, to clarify, and Mr. Landfair was able to do that for me. My impression is that it is in the process of being resolved, but due to the dumpsters needing to be screened, it's not a fix that can happen immediately. Is that a correct, I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, is that a correct characterization for planning, from planning?
Again, I'm going to have to defer on this one. Okay.
That's a correct characterization. The applicant is aware and has advised us that they intend to move the dumpsters once they have screened the property where they're planning to relocate them. With that being said, it is still a violation on the current site, and that's why the NOV was issued.
Thank you.
This public hearing is closed. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt and second. Any additional discussion? I would like to note this particular item was approved by our Planning Commission with a 6-0 vote. So I would like everyone to know that. So it was taken through the process. Councilman Tillage, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. As I do with all of my votes of opposition, I'll be voting no. I do not believe that this project fixed the character of the neighborhood, and having conversations that we've had over the last several weeks about characters of neighborhoods and making sure that we match those, I'll be voting no.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, will be voting no because I don't think it's in the character of the neighborhood. Plus, I'm not certain that the neighborhood was fully aware of the proceedings with the repeated deferrals. So and the fact that the signage apparently wasn't correct. And I will say, we need to look at our zoning signage. Many times where it's posted is not readable from the street. So we either need to increase the font or move it closer to the street. I would think increasing the font size would be the solution. It's like in small print, and we all know about small print. So we need to take a look at that. But I
Thank-
will be voting no.
Thank you, sir. Please vote electronically.
This item, excuse me, I'm sorry. This item is denied by a vote of 4-3.
Thank you. Our next item is item UP-26-06. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. West Haven, resolution granting the request of K. Alexander for a use permit to allow the development of 7 townhome units on the properties located at 1211 Rodman Avenue and 3614 Ray Street in the multifamily urban residential zoning district. The properties are owned by Kevin Alexander. The properties are approximately .189 and .185 acres respectively, and .37 acres combined. The future land use map in the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates the property for mixed-use corridor uses. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions. And the actual resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2606, to K. Alexander and K. Alexander to develop 7 townhouse units on the properties located at 1211 Rodman Avenue and 3614 Ray Street.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And is the applicant present? If you would come forward, state your name and your name. You will have 10 minutes.
Hello, I'm Keith Alexander. My brother and I.
Could you please speak into the microphone, sir?
I'm Keith Alexander.
Thank you.
My brother and I, Kevin, both own the property, and Bob Simon has been the engineer and architect on that. He's going to help walk through any questions that we have. We did have an approval prior to this from both on conditional use and the city council. Unfortunately, it took us an extremely long amount of time to get through the engineering process due to some difficulty with our engineer. And because of that, the conditional use permit expired. So we're reapplying under the same approval as before. There have not been any changes other than a couple of minor changes that because we didn't have the construction plans complete at the time. So the number of bathrooms went up in the property. But other than that, everything is the same.
Okay, sir. So you didn't want to provide or go through your presentation for the benefit of everyone? You're not required to. I just wanted to see if you wanted to. That's your choice. You have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 7-unit townhouse complex. They're 2-story units. And I think that they fit the area pretty well. I mean, it's, everything is pretty much the same as it was. So I don't know if y'all have had a chance to review that and know what,
I've reviewed it.
okay.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any other information to provide, I'll ask my colleagues, do they have any questions of you while you are up here?
Okay.
So, to my colleagues on council, do you have any questions for the developer and the property owner? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing, and you're not required to have signed up to come and speak on this public hearing item. If you do come forward, please state your name, and you will have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening again. My name is Alexandra Westfall from the West Haven Civic League. Just coming up here again to reiterate some of the comments I made during the Planning Commission meeting. It was brought to my attention and emphasized that there was a previous use permit approved for this property. It's hard to hear because the Civic League wasn't around then, so we are here now and we are presenting concerns, some of which are some of the density. I've offered and invited the developer to come to our Civic League meetings or engage with us, and we have not heard anything from them. But I want to acknowledge, just on the agenda, the previous use permit was for 6 townhomes on 0.52 acres. This development is for 7 townhomes on 0.37 acres. So it's 30% less total land area and 1 more townhome. While I appreciate it's not 3 stories, I just want to emphasize some of the concerns for flooding that we've all probably been experiencing in the past few weeks with our storm intensity. But I drive through on Ray Street regularly, crossing this intersection, and I've documented numerous times in the last week a river completely covering Rodman, so bad that the pressure has popped the new fiber line thing in the intersection of Race and Rodman up to floating a couple times. So while I'm not sure how much influence I have on this use permit at this stage in the game, I just want to emphasize the concern for development and evaluation of development in our communities. I listened to the public works session earlier with HRSD. There seems to be some need to communicate and coordinate, but as far as our city evaluation of what is appropriate and not appropriate, considering our stormwater utilities and systems, as what I'm just learning through this process is the only thing being suggested is pushing it to the street and just adding to what is already a stress system. So for other developments in the neighborhood, we've brought this up and we were, ensured that the stormwater would be brought to the driveway and then to the street to add to the drainage on the street. So anyway, considering that we're already having some intense rain events and it may only get worse, I just want to bring that up. Additionally, looking at the site plan, this is a very busy street, Race Street. It is one of the few streets in the neighborhood that doesn't have stop signs all the way through it. And people know that because they race on it. But this proposal shows a lot of the driveways and access coming right onto Race Street. So I'm not sure what kind of traffic study or planning was done or considered for that, for safely getting in and out. But just wanted that to be considered and brought to your attention. As always, we welcome conversations with developers and look forward to further dialogue with you all as well. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing item, please come forward and state your name. You will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing item is closed. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Move adoption.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically. Please vote electronically.
Councilman Dotson?
Councilman Dodson, you have not voted yet, sir?
He's too busy talking. This item is adopted 4-3.
Our next item under public hearings, item UP-27, UP-26-07. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing resolution item?
Yes, sir. Twin Pines Resolution granting the request of A. Blakely of TRG Community Development for a use permit for the development of a multifamily dwelling for persons 55 years of age or older on the property at 3993 Twin Pines Road in the multifamily urban residential district. The property is owned by Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority. The property is approximately 3.73 acres. The future land use map in the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive plan designates this property for multifamily residential uses. Planning Commission recommends approval. The actual resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2607, to TRG Community Development to construct and operate a 4-story, single-living multifamily dwelling having not more than 82 residential units located at 3993 Twin Pines Road.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The applicant is already here.
Yes.
If you would state your name, ma'am,
Yes.
you will have 10 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Elisa Winston, and I am the Executive Director for the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Now, last year, we broke ground or had the ribbon cutting for Lexington Reserves, 105 senior units here in the city of Portsmouth. And we were looking forward to replicating that in the Twin Pines neighborhood and create 82 units of senior housing at 3993 Twin Pines Road. However, we did run into a little delay with Virginia Housing and their requirements and their underwriting requirements for project-based vouchers. And that being said, our use permit has expired, and so we're coming back before you today to ask for another use permit for that project. It still will be 82 units of senior housing. It will have a clubhouse, activity room, library, computer room, interior bike storage, dog park, fitness room, outdoor plaza with seating and balconies. So we're now at a good place with Virginia Housing. They have offered some special considerations for not just Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, but it was not 29 other projects here in the Commonwealth that was impacted by these delays with Virginia Housing and their underwriting guidelines. So we're in a good place now. We want to move forward with this project. We anticipate breaking ground early next year, 18-month construction period, so late 2028. We anticipate having the ribbon cutting and allowing families to move into that home. I'll turn it over now to Mr. John Sando. He is the engineer on our project, and he'll give you more specifics on the design.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
Vice Mayor, members of council, my name is John Sandow, civil engineer, and you need the address, is that right?
I don't need the address, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as was stated, this same design was presented, save that since the last use permit was approved, we've actually gone through and completed the entire construction drawings phase for the site and also for the building. So what you'll see now is augmented slightly from when the first use permit was approved, only in that it's now been processed through all the review procedures and making sure that it complies with the standards. So these drawings have been approved already by your own staff here at the city. What is shown on the screen here is the development. The L-shaped building in the middle is the 82-unit apartment building. There's one ingress-egress on the kind of in the bottom left corner for full access. There is a exit-only lane in the upper left corner of the drawing. In the rear, in the very back, you can see there's the stormwater management facility, and the parking surrounds the building. We have green areas on the inside of the L shape that have seating. They have walks. There's a dog park and some large lawn and landscaped areas with handicap accessible walks around the entire parking lot and through the green area. We also have the required bike parking inside and outside for short-term and long-term, and we do have also additional handicap parking spaces because of the nature of the community. And that was one of the conditions at the first approval, and we still have carried that. In addition to that, there are a couple of, one EV charging space for handicap parking, and also a few other electric vehicle charging stations. If you can go to the next slide. Oh, it's, oh, here we go, okay. So the previous slide maybe. But as you can see, it's only 4 stories. This is in good keeping with what was presented in the rezoning and in the previous approval of the use permit. And the front driveway, if you can go back to the previous slide, sir, please. Yeah, or whoever's driving. You're over here, okay. The front area that's closest to Twin Pines Road, that was widened and adjusted so that we would have ladder truck access to the upper floors of the building for safety and for fire access. And also, we have security cameras throughout the site. That was another requirement that came up in the previous approvals. I think that's all I had to share. We're happy to entertain any questions anyone has.
I did want to make a correction that was in your summary. You have 55 and up. It is 62 and up.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So I believe that concludes your presentation.
Yes.
So a few of my colleagues do have questions. So our first question is from Councilwoman Bryant. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Winston. I caught that and wanted to bring it to your attention, but you also caught it at the same time, so thank you. Thank you for the presentation and this project. I know that you said, Ms. Winston, in your comments to the Planning Commission that the Lexington Seniors Project received, was it 600 applications in the first days,
Yes.
which is a similar project to this, and you shared how that really spoke to the need of senior housing in the city. And so I wanted to make sure that everyone here heard that
Yes.
comment.
There's absolutely a need here in the city of Portsmouth, and like you said, it was 600 applications that were received, and we currently have, a little over 200 now on our wait list.
Okay.
So there's no doubt in my mind that these units will be filled rather quickly.
And
once
that
they come
Lexington
online.
project is beautiful. We all toured
Yes.
it when it opened, so this will be a similar
Yes, very similar.
experience.
Yes.
Okay, and to clarify, 62 plus.
62 and up.
Thank you.
That's correct.
Councilman Dotson, sir, you have the floor.
Question, is there a sublet or short-term rental policy that y'all have?
We do not allow rental or short-term rentals. The leaseholder is the one that rents the unit. So
Okay,
we
no
do
sub-
not allow.
no subletting?
No subletting at all.
Just wanted to be specific.
Absolutely a violation, and will lead to a lease termination.
Good, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I'm enthusiastic about this because as far as our finances go as a city, this type of housing benefits us as a city over other types of housing, and we are in desperate need of this type of housing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Ms. Winston.
Hi.
What are the price points for these?
So they will have project-based vouchers attached to those units. So all of our residents will pay 30% of their income towards the rent. Now, the rents may range from $1,000 to $1,700, but keep in mind, only 30% of their income will be used towards that rent. Okay, so for instance, let's say the rent is $1,500. Their portion may only be $500, which is project-based voucher, so the other $1,000 will come from HUD.
Okay, so 30%?
Yes, 30% of their income.
Whatever their
Their
annual-
adjusted monthly income will be towards their rent. That'll be their rental amount,
Okay, thank
which
you.
which is good. Most of our seniors are on fixed income, retirement, Social Security. So
Right,
some of them still work.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing item, if you would come forward, state your name and address. Well, your name, you'll have 5 minutes.
David House, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. So I was going to come and speak about this because my concern was the initial package that I read said everything was 62. And then when I read the other sheet, it said 55. And because in reading that with 55, so 55 stipulation under the federal Virginia 18 whatever says only one person has to be 55, so that everybody else could be younger than that. So my question in looking at the diagrams that they presented was there were some wetlands that looks like maybe, I don't know if they have parking or something toward the right, that little small shape. There's wetlands down in that area, and I don't think that was really addressed. And my concern was, out of the 85 units, I believe that 82 units, only 10% are really like for handicap, so we're only looking at like 8 units that would benefit people that may have handicap issues. And my concern, since this is a senior living, I couldn't see anything like the actual footprint, like for the bathrooms and the doorways, being like 32 inches or 38 or 36 inches to accommodate somebody with a wheelchair, because I'm dealing with that right now as a home giver, trying to get somebody in a bathroom. So I was wondering if y'all had any insight like that, or had any information that was in the plan, because I really didn't see anything like that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing item, if you would come forward, state your name, you will have 5 minutes.
Hello again. My name's Alexandra Westfall. I don't have much to say. Again, wanted to just come and speak to these items from the Planning Commission dialogue that was had. What Mr. House just finished talking about with the accessibility, that was one of the points that caught my ear during the discussion with the commissioners, was just the ratio of handicap accessible designated units in the whole development as a whole for a 62 and up community. I understand the developers shared that there would be some adaptable features, maybe some blocking in the walls so you could easily secure a grab bar. But what I wanted to emphasize to you all, and then what I also did at the Planning Commission meeting, is that adaptability for aging in place, if that is the goal and intent of this type of development to some extent, is more than just installing a grab bar. It's creating the infrastructure like a doorway opening that is adaptable for a normal person to walk through, and then someone who might then need a rollator or some apparatus that's not a wheelchair to also move about in that space. So again, just some comments overall, nothing really for 5 minutes of talking, but just wanted to impress upon you that conversation was had during the Planning Commission meeting, and just some comments that I had to add to that consideration. Additionally, another comment was about livability, walkability, activity around the development. They mentioned some bike parking, which is wonderful. As I mentioned at the Planning Commission, and I want to impress upon you all, I think it is positive to develop with those features in mind. I think it's also really important to have a bigger view and picture of what does that network connect into. Where am I going to go on my bike? Where am I going to go on my feet? Is there a park nearby? Is there safe passage to get where I want to go? So that's a larger picture thing for the city, but just wanted to share that, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this item, please state your name, and you will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Tony Goodwin, and I'm a professional here of real estate in the city and also in Hampton Roads in the state of Virginia. And I just want to enforce upon Dr. Dotson's comment about the need, and that is great. And that being a part of an association called the NEC, which is a national organization tracking the need for senior housing, or what we call the silver tsunami, it is projected that by year 2030, the need considering what is available in supply is almost 20 times more, and that is crucial. Then to add to that the affordability piece of it, it's very crucial, because right now as it is, you have one choice as a senior. You have either senior retirement center, state-sponsored, give up all your worldly possessions to actually move in, or something that's $5,000 to $6,000 a month. There's a large window in the middle. And so you'll be seeing a lot more of these projects coming before you. And just take into consideration, NEC is the organization that tracks the needs pretty significantly. And I think that Portsmouth is on the cusp of being able to retain some of our senior population inside our boundaries without having to see them leave to go to outside cities around the area. But thank you very much for the attention to that.
Thank you, sir. Once again, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this item, you can come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing item is closed. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. And that concludes our agenda for public hearings. We will now move to the city manager's report. Consent agenda, item 26-195. And I would ask that Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker's statement?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, city council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you'll notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the city council as a body rather than to any particular member of city council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we do have 2 speakers that have registered for our consent agenda. The first speaker is Mr. Leon Hammond. Mr. Hammond, sir, if you would come forward, state your name, you will have 5 minutes. Mr. Hammond, sir, if you would come forward, state your name, you will have 5 minutes.
Pardon me, but are we talking about the,
Yes, the item that you signed up for
Oh,
was
okay. I got you.
item M, sir,
I got you.
on the agenda.
right, no problem.
So you can speak to that agenda item, sir.
Right, okay. Well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and the Whitehurst family, and also the Madison Ward Civic League. It has been a while trying to get a name put on a park.
Mr. Hammond, sir, could you please bring the microphone a little closer to your mouth so we can hear you clearly, sir? Thank you.
I should know better. It's been some time that Ms. Whitehurst has been trying to get recognition for her husband, Charles B. Whitehurst, Sr. I've been given credit for getting it this far. I don't deserve the credit. It's been a joint venture. That's even including the city council. So sometimes you have to look for help, and you have to kind of ask different people, or tell different people your problems, regardless of what it is. So you all are going to vote today on what the city, the park, Jefferson Street Park, and I hope that you vote in such a way that you're recognizing a city councilman and I guess you could say a patriot too, because he's been in service. But the contributions that he's did for the city of Portsmouth. And I hope everything is straight and be a no problem for voting a yes on the change of the name for our park. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker is Mr. Tony Goodwin. Sir, if you will come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes. It's for item N.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Once again, my name is Tony Goodwin, and I'm speaking to you about, on the item of N in your consent agenda pertaining to the Main Street Community Program. Congratulations to you all. This is a great time for this. It's a long time coming. Close to 16 years in the works. Main Street was identified back when I was president of the Old Town Business Association, shortly after we were faced with one of the most damaging economic negative impact drivers, which was the downtown tunnel and the Midtown tunnel being retold again. We fought it, the 159 of my neighbors, some of you on this dais as well as some others in the city, fought it but lost, unfortunately, but we had to turn around, and once we lost, we had to find things that would make us competitive in the region. That being identified as the Main Street community through VHCD, and also the federal program at the federal level through the National Park Service. The only challenge with that back then, the Main Street program wasn't, we weren't eligible because our population was over 25,000, and many city staff members and council members prior to you said, no, we can't do it because we're not eligible. 25,000 is the max. So that changed my motivation as the business association president at the time and a civic leader to lobby that to change it. We changed it sometime around 2016 to create both at the federal level what they call urban Maine, where it identifies small villages inside of larger metropolitan areas. And then at the local or at the state level, the affiliate program, which is what we're looking at today. So with all that said, it's a great opportunity. The four main pillars obviously drive economics for the downtown areas, but what's most important is preservation. Historic preservation of historic communities is what's key, what's very prominent of their objective at Main Street. Retaining the cadence on your Main Street, also retaining the historic structures that have been either identified to contribute to the historic downtown historic district, which was established in 2006, and also the surrounding Old Town district, which was established in 1979, to be able to coexist and actually create what we have today, and that is considered High Street and Old Town. Fast forward to today, we are looking at buildings that are inside of the historic district that are very well in need of repair. We being owners of two of those, well, actually three. And one of those is actually the second oldest building still standing on High Street, over 150 years old. And that being said, it is being reworked, reestablished, and re-put in. And in fact, we've actually attracted a business from New Hampshire to take a look at it as their permanent home and relocate here into the city of Portsmouth. So this is all very good, and I, again, congratulate you all for moving this forward. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad we're at this point now so we can actually see the fruits of the labors of many that have been before you and also before us to get this done. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight, and looking forward to the success.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Dotson, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to speak to the renaming from Mr. Whitehurst and say that I wish we could do more than just rename a park. There's many people that give a lot of service to the city and to our town that stop gaining in personal welfare and give back to our city with their time and their effort. and I just wish there was more. I'm hoping that we're all voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, Councilman Whitehurst, I think I'm the only one up here that actually served with him and actually ran with him on 2 different campaigns. I have a button here from 2002, if you can believe that. That was Charles and I's first reelection back in the day. But, you know, Charles was also vice mayor on this council, but he was also a major in the Marine Corps. He was also the first black treasurer in the city of Portsmouth. And I think he got a national award during his tenure as a treasurer. So he was a popular councilman. He was a politician of the people. He was well known throughout every community of the city. And we've been trying for a long time to get something in honor of Charles. And I salute the Mount Hermon Civic League for proposing to rename a park in honor of Charles. Long overdue, but tonight I think it will be a 7-0 vote to do what is long overdue. So, Ms. Whitehurst, thank you for your perseverance. I know you've spoke to council and you've been disappointed on some occasions that it was long overdue, but be that as it may, tonight is the night I think Charles would be very proud of as he's looking down upon this body. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Tillage, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Whitehurst for being consistent and being patient with the city. To Vice Mayor Moody's point, this is an honor that is long overdue for former Councilman Whitehurst. I didn't have the pleasure of obviously serving with him, but one saying that Mr. Whitehurst used to say that still lingers around Portsmouth is trust but verify. And that is something that is a very, it really builds the core foundation of how I try to operate, is making sure that we trust the process, but we're verifying behind us. And so Mr. Whitehurst leaves a long legacy throughout the city of Portsmouth. And I also want to thank the Madison Ward Civic League for supporting this, having conversations with members of your Civic League and with other community members like Mr. Hines and members of the Mount Hermon Civic League, trying to find ways to honor Mr. Whitehurst. It was a lot of conversations, and to be a part of helping them to pick this park, I'm honored to have done that and to be a part of that conversation. So I'm looking forward to this council voting today, and as we honor Mr. Whitehurst, and hopefully once we do officially name it Mr. Manager, we can have a official ribbon cutting to celebrate the new name of that park. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the speakers for the consent agenda, and I will now ask our city clerk, Ms. White, to read the entire consent agenda. Thank you.
Item A, adoption of an ordinance accepting settlement funds in the amount of $140,654.85 from the PFAS settlement with 3M Company, and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Public Utilities Fund for use by the Department of Public Utilities for water supply testing and treatment and other authorized uses under the terms of the settlement. Item B, adoption of an ordinance accepting Port Host Communities Revitalization Funds in the amount of $550,000 from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, and appropriating said funds in the FY 2027 Grants Fund for distribution to the Economic Development Authority of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia. Item C, adoption of an ordinance accepting a marketing leverage program grant in the amount of $30,000 from the Virginia Tourism Corporation and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Grants Fund for the Go Outdoors in Portsmouth program. Item D, adoption of an ordinance, one, accepting a grant in the amount of $85,724 from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services and appropriating said funds in the FY 2027 Grants Fund budget. Two, appropriating $28,575 from the fund balance of the general fund to the FY 2027 general fund budget to serve as the required local match. And three, transferring said $28,575 from the FY 2027 general fund budget to the FY 2027 grants fund budget, all for the purpose of funding one full-time criminal justice planner position for the Portsmouth Community Criminal Justice Board. Item E, adoption of an ordinance appropriating $600,000 to provide funding to the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office for the salaries and benefits of 5 full-time school resource officers. Item F, adoption of an ordinance accepting child psychiatry and children's crisis response funding in the amount of $96,585 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services through the Hampton Newport News Community Services Board as regional fiscal agent, and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Behavioral Healthcare Service Fund for use by BHS to provide child psychiatry and children's crisis response services. Item G, adoption of an ordinance accepting settlement funds in the amount of $224,449.59 from the opioid settlements and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Behavioral Health Care Service Fund for use by BHS for approved abatement purposes as defined by the Virginia Opioid Fund and Settlement Allocation MOU. Item H, adoption of an ordinance accepting funding in the amount of $305,949 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services and appropriating said funds in the FY 2027 Behavioral Health Care Service Fund for Crisis Intervention Team Assessment Center at Maryview Hospital. Item I, adoption of an ordinance accepting jail diversion funding in the amount of $50,451 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Behavioral Health Care Service Fund for use by BHS to expand jail diversion program efforts. Item J, adoption of an ordinance accepting problem gambling prevention funding in the amount of $35,000 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Behavioral Health Care Service Fund for use by BHS to provide problem gambling prevention services. Item K, adoption of an ordinance accepting STEP Virginia funding in the amount of $285,612 from the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services and appropriating said amount in the FY 2027 Behavioral Health Care Service Fund for use by BHS to provide targeted case management, care coordination, and psychiatric rehabilitation. Item L, adoption of a resolution to approve the amended and restated FY 2026-27 Community Service Performance Contract for the Department of Behavioral Health Care Services. Item E, adoption of a resolution to rename 8th and Jefferson Park as Charles B. Whitehurst Senior Park. Item N, adoption of a resolution to support an advancing Main Street designation for the City of Portsmouth and the city's participation in the Main Street program. And item O, adoption of a resolution certifying the City of Portsmouth's support of an application for the U.S. Department of Transportation's United States Marine Highway Program in the amount of $2 million for the purchase of barge components to replace an aging heavy lift asset to accommodate rapidly evolving industry needs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You can now breathe. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Please vote electronically.
The consent agenda is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, and thank you all, and thank you to the Whitehurst family for being with us tonight. The next item on the agenda is new business, item 26-196, boards and commissions. And Councilman Hugel, sir, do we have boards and commissions tonight?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. We have several board and commission renewals and some new appointments. I'll start with the reappointments. For the Tidewater Youth Services Commission, Sanaya Mangagal, who is our Social Services Director, and Alejandro Torres, who is the Court Services Director. Board of Building Code Appeals, Chris Crowder and Keith Curry. Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, Cynthia Morgan. Supplemental Retirement Board, Robert Porter. Historic Preservation Commission, Monique Doutry. Museum and Fine Arts Commission, Joseph Brown. And Library Board, Troya Wright. Our new appointments tonight: the Clean Community Commission, Carol Montgomery. The Community Criminal Justice Board, Angela Flowers, who is the school representative. For the History Commission, Philip Killebrew, Stephanie Mays, and Kelly Ortiz. The Historic Preservation Commission, John Lifesey, Whitney Thomas, and Herman Weaver. The Law Library Board, our City Attorney, Derek Challenger, and Tiana Skinner. For the Library Board, Museum and Fine Arts Commission, Laura Reagan. Newport Development Authority, Monique Miller. Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, Stephanie Mays. Social Services Advisory Commission, Connie Gilman and Shaniqua High. SIPSA, again, our City Attorney, Derek Challenger. And finally, the Wetlands Board, Samuel Payton and Priscilla Taylor.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Hugel. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Well, that was the motion. Okay, got it. Okay, we have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item, item 26-197, item submitted by council members. Councilman Tillage, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I have two issues I would like to bring some attention to. First one is for Mr. Carter. At the last school board meeting, work session, it was noted that the superintendent and you all had reached an agreement on a memorandum of understanding regarding the transfer of school CIP projects to PPS. My first question is, what is the current status and timeline of the execution of that MOU? And the second question is, the work session discussion also implied that only small projects were being transferred, not large projects. So could you clarify the structuring of that MOU and exactly what is and what will not be transferred to the school division?
Mr. Carter, you have the floor, sir.
Councilman Tillage, yes, the school board has agreed on the language for the MOU that we submitted. We're going through the project list now to determine what will be transferred and what will not be transferred. The only stipulation on what will be transferred is what they will accept. There's no language in the MOU that designate a size of project either by scope or by finances. It refers to all projects, and we're going through the list now to see which one of those projects they're willing to accept.
And if you could just to clarify that with the school division, because that was a comment that was made by the school division that it was for small projects only. And so I want to make sure that they have clear understanding of what the intent of the MOU is, so that both parties are fully aware.
Yes, sir. I'll reach out and make sure that they're aware of that, but there's no language in the MOU that suggests size of any scope.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. The second item I want to bring up is November of 2023, serving on city council, we brought up collective bargaining. And collective bargaining is something that the city council had voted on in November of 23 to move forward on. And so over the last 3 years, we've been going back and forth about what collective bargaining looks like here in the city of Portsmouth. And I feel like over 3 years, I feel like it's a lot has, it's been long overdue for us to be able to finally have the conversation of actually getting an ordinance on the table for approval. And so tonight, I want to move that our collective bargaining ordinance be placed on the agenda for the next regular meeting on September the 8th for a formal voting and reading.
Well, first of all, I would say that we have a meeting, there's a scheduled meeting with the manager on Thursday, so until we know what the outcome of that meeting is, I think it's premature to get anything on the agenda. So once the meeting is had, then the manager will confer with council, and we'll determine what the next steps are.
And I appreciate that, and I asked for a motion, and so if I could allow my council member, if there's a second, to move forward with it, and if not, then I think that we let it be.
I would second that motion.
We have a motion and a
Yeah,
second
Tony.
to put something on the agenda. Councilman Hugel, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, so while I agree that we need to move on with collective bargaining, we also need to continue to be methodical and get this homework done right. We had some discussions about having the city manager, city attorney clean up the ordinance and prep it for our vote, but we also discussed public discussions and some collaboration with our labor partners or potential labor partners before to make sure that we work through the details so that we don't pass an ordinance that's going to ultimately be dead on arrival. So rather than trying to jam this onto a city council meeting agenda, I think the appropriate thing to do is to ask the city manager and the city attorney for a timeline for when the review process can be done, including a work session, closed session, so that we can engage, and then ultimately the conversation that we talked about having with our labor partners before we bring it forward to public hearing and a public vote.
City Attorney Challenger, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, I want to provide a little bit of an update as to where we are in the process. The city manager and myself met with Cynthia Hudson maybe 2 weeks ago. And we made some adjustments to the ordinance based off of our last closed session we had on this issue. So in my opinion, we're one closed session away from being able to schedule a meeting as a public agenda item, so that everyone would have the benefit of seeing the ordinance in its final form. Then we can have the discussions at that point, and then the public work session could occur. So that being said, I would think we should be able to have that either the second meeting in September or the first meeting in October, in terms of a timeline.
Thank you, sir. And before we get there, Manager Carter, is it clear that you have a scheduled meeting this week with representatives?
Yes, sir, that'd be-
Just for clarity, because we need to understand, we're not going to rush the process because we need to get it right and we need to be responsible. And the manager is the one responsible for the negotiation in that process. And we need to let the manager do his job. And then we get to make the informed decision. But we do not need to preempt what the manager is attempting to do. We've waited a while, I can agree, but it doesn't make sense to rush the process. With that in mind, Mr. Carter, sir, you have the floor.
Yes, sir, I do have a meeting scheduled with the Firefighters Association on Thursday of this week. I plan to talk to them about what the proposed language is, get their take on what it is that they may have some heartburn about, and then we'll start trying to massage it from there.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Thomas, ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. And points made about the process and the process that we had during our last public meeting. Actually, one of the items that I did request a report back on was regarding collective bargaining as well as MWBE, based on our closed sessions discussions with Ms. Hudson. So just to reiterate, Mr. Challenger, you're telling me, because it wasn't in the report back item, so I want to make that clear. So you're providing a public report back currently that there is, can you just specify that one more time, what our next steps are, timeline? And if the September 8th meeting is not an appropriate timeline, are you saying that, can you state the date that we can expect to have that on the agenda? Because I do think it's important that we follow a process, but I do think it's important that we put a timeline and a date so that we're not constantly moving without any intended end date in mind for when we want to have some type of clarity and public discussion about this.
So the expected timeline is September, the first September meeting should be the closed session item. That should be the last closed session item that I anticipate needing. And then the following meeting after that, which would be the last meeting in September, we should be able to have a public version of that discussion, because we would have already been able to hash out the closed session item on that particular issue.
Okay, so in that case, that's looking like September 22nd. Okay, so Councilman Tillage, do you want to make a new motion for September 22nd? Or what are the next steps? Because I think one of the issues that I'm hearing publicly there's no movement forward. We know movement, we're having discussions, but I do think that publicly, it's time for some public discussions outside of our closed session meetings. Don't want to circumvent the process and the discussions that the city manager has scheduled, the discussions you have scheduled with Ms. Hudson, but I do think it's important that we do bring these conversations to the forefront, to a public session. And if September 22nd works as a timeline, I will even make a motion, and hope I can get a second, to put on our September 22nd meeting. So I will make a motion that we can put collective bargaining on our September 22nd
Well, see, you can't
meeting.
just randomly make motions.
You have a motion on
That's
the
the
table.
not proper
Oh,
order.
so we have to, I'm sorry.
So
I
first,
will vote on the first motion, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
let me
Fox.
help y'all out. We need to deal with the motion on the floor. We need to deal with the motion on the floor. The motion on the floor was September 8th. That was the motion on the floor. We need to deal with that motion, and we vote on it, and then if there's something that needs to come after that, then we deal with that. Are we all in agreement with that? Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Well, I was going to ask Councilman Tillage if he would like to amend that motion as far as a date.
So, based on, well, first of all, I want to say that this is great public conversation that I think is long overdue. And so, based on city attorney's preference of having closed session on September the 8th, I will amend my motion for this item to be on the September 22nd agenda. I need a second for that, correct?
Help him out, Madam Clerk, please.
Council members, before you actually vote on your motion, we have to have a motion to add this item to your agenda.
Correct.
Because it was not a part of, we already have a motion in a second, but as far as down here is concerned, that's to add an item to the agenda first, and then you can make a motion based on the September 8th, 22nd.
So from my understanding, that was, in order for me to have to do that, that would be involving me adding an item to the agenda. I'm not adding an item to this meeting. I am voting to get a clear understanding and a formal direction from city council. That does not require, that's not an ordinance or a resolution. That is an official position of city council.
It wasn't on the agenda, sir. So if it wasn't an agenda, hold on.
So are you
Let
just
the
looking
proper
for a
rules.
consensus?
You're
of
looking for a
council?
consensus, because in order to, just listen up before you make a determination. And the item wasn't on the agenda, number one. In order to add the item on the agenda, you have to vote to add the item on the agenda. That's the proper order. Once the item is added to the agenda, then the motion and the second is taken and the vote is taken. If you are asking for a consensus, that's something different. So all we're asking is that we follow the rules. That's the rules, sir.
Point of order. So, Mr. Attorney, does Section 14, in Section 14, does that grant item 26-1-97, which is item submitted by council, does that grant a council member the explicit right to introduce an item for submission before this body?
That particular item allows a council member to submit an item for consideration by the body. The mechanism in which you're talking about is the real question. There's no dispute that that you can get this item to be added to the September 22nd date. There's no question about that. I think the only question is the mechanics of how to get there. So your answer, your question is yes. It does allow you the right to get it on, get that date scheduled for September the 22nd. Yes. Yes, your answer is yes.
So in order for me to make a motion that does not require amending this agenda item, considering item submitted by council is already on the agenda, I would then have to make a motion to add an item to then vote yes or no, to then add an agenda item to the next city council meeting.
Can I help?
And I would defer to the city the city clerk.
Council members, what I'm asking is one of two things. Either you're asking for just a consensus of the council to have this item put on for closed session on the 8th and to vote on the 22nd, or you're looking for a formal vote by them that's saying you absolutely want this done, and you're doing it by formal vote. If you're doing it by formal vote, you will need to add an item to the agenda. But if you're just looking for a consensus of this body that you want to have the closed session on the 8th and to vote on the 22nd, it does not require you to add an item to the agenda. It's just to get a consensus of the body that you want this done.
All right, so I will make a motion that we add an item to the agenda.
It doesn't require.
I'm not asking, I understand what you're saying. I understand you're saying that a consensus does not require, and we can move in, you gave me two options. I'm
Yes.
going with this option first.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we add an item to the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
What is the date that we're adding the motion to?
September 22nd for collective bargaining to be voted on in the body in closed session, September 8th for closed session, related to collective bargaining.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote electronically.
That's what I was trying to do. This item is adopted 7-0.
All right, so now I move to add collective bargaining ordinance to be placed on the agenda for our scheduled meeting on September the 22nd, and for a closed session for collective bargaining to be on September the 8th.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion on the item? Hearing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your assistance. Are there any other items to be submitted by council? Councilman Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. About a month ago, we had one of our firefighters spoke before this council requesting 11 additional firefighter positions based on safety concerns. And those concerns were also supported by the fire chief in the FY26 budget. Unfortunately, those positions weren't funded. So tonight, I'm going on record as supporting the firefighters in their request for those 11 additional positions. When our first responders raise safety concerns, we have a responsibility to act. It was cited in March of 2024 during a residential fire. Virginia Occupational Safety and Health Association issued 2 serious violations, underscoring the risk created by the current staffing levels. The fire chief certainly has made it clear that these positions are essential to protect both firefighters and residents. So tonight, I'm asking that we proceed in funding and finding a way to fund these positions with a sense of urgency so we can include that in our FY27 budget. They've presented a case for it, and for us not to find a way to fund it in the budget is not a good situation. So as we enter our budget discussions for FY28, 27, excuse me, we need to find a way to include it in the budget. Yeah, well, 28, yeah, FY28, I'm sorry. Unless there are any objections to that. I don't see any.
I think it would be appropriate for the manager and his staff to get together and evaluate that.
Well,
and then
that's what I'm
provide a
asking
report
for,
back. Okay,
Mayor.
okay,
for them to
very
report
good.
back.
Very good.
It was rejected in the current budget, so we need to find a way to fund it. in
Very
my
good, sir.
opinion.
I think that's appropriate. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Dodson, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to direct this to the city manager. I'd like some clarification on RFPs. As an example, the RFP that we're putting out for the pavilion as to when it comes to council and when it does not. And the reason I'm asking is for a public understanding of what we do have authority over and what we don't. If you could clarify that.
Absolutely, sir. No RFP comes to the council. When you vote on the budget, you're allocating money to be spent in certain ways. So we'll spend that money in those ways, but the council will not participate in an RFP. Now, if specifically for the one for the pavilion, we have that RFP ready. Approached us and wanted to negotiate an extension. We stopped for a moment so we can listen to what they had to provide to us. We've provided some comments back to them, so we're waiting on them to answer. Based on the answer, we either move forward or we'll make some other arrangements. But that's where we are. But just understand, not just with the pavilion, but there's no RFP that's going to come before the council.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other items to be submitted by council? Councilwoman Bryant, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention the new date for National Night Out, which was moved because of rain from August, so it will be October 6th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Festival Park. Thank you.
Councilwoman Thomas, ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to, I mentioned the report back items. Mr. Carter, thank you for, I saw the note at the beginning that starting in September, we will start to receive some data on NWBE reporting. I think that's moving in the right direction. We don't know what we don't know yet, or how successful we are or not successful. And also, I just saw a message from our Portsmouth Economic Development. I know we talk about the waterfront development a lot. My understanding is that RFPs from the developers are due this coming Monday, the 31st? Yes, August 31st. So those RFPs will be available, I believe, for citizens to review as well. I just think that as we, as a city, develop our downtown that's meant for everyone, that it's important that all the public be aware of that. And then I also want to take a moment to thank Mr. Carter for hearing some concerns about some of our other areas of the city that deserve some love. And Mr. Carter, I appreciate your commitment to ensuring that we beautify, clean up, and provide investment and time to those other cities. And we do have our beautification teams. You'll start seeing them more. And Mr. Carter has been made aware and has heard concerns about, you know, as we make progress through different parts of the city, that we might want to communicate, boast, and post some pictures about that as well, so that all our citizens know that all areas of the city deserve that love and attention, outside of just the waterfront, which is also going to be great. So just want to thank you for your attention on that matter, Mr. Carter, and the commitment to the teams that are going out to ensure that all areas of our city are cleaned up and look nice. So thank you.
Manager Carter, sure, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Thomas. I do need to make one clarification on what you just said. For RFPs, they're confidential information until the decision has been made. Those pricing and all those things we're 100%. Bound to hold those confidential until a decision is made. Once a decision is made, all of those things become public at that point. But the public won't get involved in it until we've had an opportunity to review, evaluate, score, and make a determination of which way we're going to go.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I just wanted to make sure, I appreciate that. I'm just making sure from the Portsmouth Economic Development, I might have read that wrong. Since they were saying about how each proposal will offer a vision, I thought that vision was going to be apparent to the citizens, but I guess we'll look for that to come some other kind of way through public sessions as we continue to walk through that. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Moody, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me weigh in on that because I know when the current contract for the pavilion operation was let, council didn't make the decision, but we were certainly privy to the proposals and what was offered. And the manager at that time gave a recommendation in a direction that he was going and presented a case to the members of council. So I think there's a difference there than the normal RFP that a lot of times are issued and come through as a normal business practice. But since the pavilion is certainly a public facility and we all receive comments, and I think we got a speaker again tonight that's going to offer comments. But just a suggestion, I think it's good and healthy for us to know what, what kind of interest was expressed by potential operators before a decision is made and then presented after the fact. That's just my opinion.
Let me.
And it was done that way in previous administrations.
And to acknowledge what Vice Mayor said, we did have closed sessions to inform us what the process was, and I think that's not an unreasonable request. And I know, Mr. Manager, you would be certainly open to that process. But at the end of the day, it is not a council decision. It is a management decision. And I think that's what the manager was trying to convey. Go ahead. Councilwoman Thomas, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So just based on the even just the pavilion, but also the waterfront development update, and the fact that RPs will be presented, well, not be presented, but will be due by August 31st. As we're continuing to have these MWBE discussions, then what type of report back or input does council get to ensure from those proposals that are delivered meet certain MWBE goals that we are set forth in our policy? You said they're not open to the public. What then does council get back in terms of looking at that and looking at how those RPs are decided upon, even if it's not a council decision, so that we can see how the process and so that we can understand what the MWBE consideration looks like for those proposals?
Manager Carter, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Thomas, those reports that we're talking about providing to you, those quarterly reports about what we're doing, the statistics for the MWBE movement, those are where you're going to find that information. For the proposals that go out, there are goals that the city has set for minority participation in most things, even with the waterfront development. Even as we're going through the PPEA for the new city hall, all of those things have those goals embedded in those things. So we will measure the proposals based on those goals. You get awarded points for meeting those goals. You don't get awarded points if you don't meet those goals. But that's the kind of information that you get from us as far as what those
So in a
numbers are.
closed, thank you, Mr. Carter. In a closed session then, for those proposals received, can we as council members get those points that were awarded for certain categories within the proposals? Because I would be personally interested in seeing what that looked like for each proposal submitted.
Yeah. After every RFP, the whole process becomes public at that point. So you see anything about it, absolutely anything about it, including the scores and what each submitter was graded on, what they got for scores. All of those things are publicly available at that point.
But that is after the award.
That's after the award.
So what, as a council, can we see before the award?
Let me ask this way. What is it that you want to see? I've explained what the process is, so if you want to modify the process some, then we have to kind of talk about that. So there's no mechanism or current process that when an RFP go out, we're going to come talk to the council every time before we do anything about it. That's just not the mechanism.
Okay. I will follow up with you, Mr. Carter,
Okay.
via email to outline what I would like to see.
Okay. that'd be great.
Regarding the MWBE scoring consideration and the process, and understanding just the applicable, how that process was applied to those developers that provided the submission. And I'll outline that in the email. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to offer kudos to the Portsmouth Powerboat Association for their recent two-day event, Power Boats at the Park. I attended, saw you out there, Mayor, and I know most of my colleagues, I think, went to it, but the crowds were enormous. It was good to see that many people in City Park once again, and those are the first powerboat races we've had in a number of years. But everybody was having a terrific time. So the organizers of the event, I salute them. They pulled it off, and hopefully we can see more events like that at City Park. I think our City Park is probably one of the most underutilized pieces of property in the city of Portsmouth. So hopefully we can look at having more events at that place.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our items submitted by council. Our next item is item 26-198, report on pending items. Mr. Carter, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. You should find the information about the report backs distributed by Ms. Hogg today. So all those items from the previous council meeting should be in that report back that you have. I do have a couple items that I'd like to bring to your attention as we move forward. There is a friendly competition among the city managers in the region. We're having a peanut butter and jelly collection drive for the food banks. So each one of these cities are participating in this peanut butter and jelly drive. We have donations around the city where everybody can participate, and there'll be just a bragging rights for whatever city is able to raise the most peanut butter and jelly for our food bank. So if you will, we'll provide more information on that, and I hope everyone in our community will participate. The second item is where we'll start our fall government 101 sessions on, well, I don't have the exact date to start. Well, the first class is September 28th. I'm taking that back. September 28th is the first day of the class. However, the registrations will open on September the 8th. September the 8th, and I will try to make sure that that registration opened directly at noon. Reason I'm saying noon as a start time because that process fills up really quickly. So if you wait until 1, you're probably not going to make the cut. So we'll do the advertising for this, but September the 8th at noon will be the launch time for registration. September the 28th would be the first class. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Carter, for that report back. The next item is item 26-199. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker's statement?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the city council as a body rather than to any particular member of the city council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our first speaker tonight is Ms. Cheryl Bryant. Ms. Bryant, if you will come forward, state your name and address or your name. You will have 5 minutes. Okay, we'll move to the next speaker. Next speaker is Mr. Walter Carter. Mr. Carter, if you're available, you will come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes. Our next speaker is Mr. Coleman Young. Sir, if you will come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Coleman Young. I live in the 600 block of Dinwiddie Street. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, and city manager, and city staff. Please bear with me because I had some prepared notes concerning the pavilion. So I'm kind of speaking off the cuff. I don't like to do that. I like to be able to hear the whole situation and process it. But what maybe the first action I had is I came to council probably like in November about the pavilion. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not going to benefit from it. But I care about the city to increase and improve the cultural life of the city and also the businesses downtown. I've talked to a number of the council members, and since last November, they said, well, I'll talk to the manager. And then the thought was, it will be done in the summer. And, last time I came 30 days ago, I did get a comment, a commitment, August the 15th. That's a Saturday. I came back Monday, and as Mr. Tillers mentioned, as well as Charles Whitehurst, he has good company, because Ronald Reagan said the same thing. He said, trust and verify, and that's what I did. And by verifying, I found out that the request for a proposal had not been put out. So tonight, I find out it's still not put out. And if I hear this correctly, the organization I Am Going wants an extension. So let's talk about, previous when I've come to them, I haven't said anything about I Am Going. What is the track record of I Am Going? If you look at their list of activities, in July, 3 consecutive Fridays, they had family movies, free, no revenue. They would come into the city on that. How in the devil can you give to honor and respect an organization that wants an extension with that type of track record? And I appeal to council to find your voice and look for integrity. I mean, without a doubt, I Am Going has used us as a backup. I do not like being a citizen of Portsmouth and being taken back door. I don't like to be on the children's table at the dinner. That's what is happening here. You are letting I Am Going. Now, I wasn't going to say anything about this, but since we're talking about I Am Going, when Bill Springs concert came here, one of the vendors down here brought a band in on Saturday. It was person to person, filled up the city. I Am Going contacted a department head, asked him to come and interfere with another vendor on activities because they were worried about the alcohol sales. Since when does a vendor intervene with the city and ask them to change their policy? The city has a facility. They're offering for a vendor to come in and work out the deal, work out the terms you want. There is money, easy money, expedient money the city can get. You're getting rent money, you're getting emission money, you're getting concession money, you're getting branding money, and you're getting sales money from increased sales. I just don't know what else to say. I mean, I came here 30 days ago, and what did the council say? August the 15th. This is 2 weeks after that. Now we don't even know when this request for a proposal is going to go out. All I appeal to is council, please get your voice. Step up and say what you want for this city.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. William Bodger. Is that correct? What is it, sir? Boger, okay. Like Kroger almost, huh? Yeah, okay, Boger, okay. Sorry about the mispronunciation.
Honorable members of the council, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, staff. My name is William Boger. I'm a vice president with the Virginia Professional Firefighters. We represent 11,000 firefighters across the Commonwealth of Virginia, including members of the Portsmouth Professional Firefighters, Local 539. Based on actions taken by this body tonight, a lot of my comments are not necessary. So I would like to just stand up here and thank you for placing on the agenda the vote on the collective bargaining ordinance. I know a lot has to be done. I would like to thank Councilman Tillage for getting that, for moving that forward. This is something that this body has worked on for a long time, but we're very excited. I know you have a meeting Thursday. Our members are excited to work collaboratively with you to get the best ordinance possible for the city. Just like to highlight that, collective bargaining is essential for workers. We currently have 7 fire departments across the state who have completed this process. They are all benefiting from better recruitment, better retention, increased staffing, increased safety, better overall morale. Recently, and as you've probably seen to much positive press, Newport News passed their collective bargaining ordinance as well. Collective bargaining is not a demand meeting. It's a collaborative process. It's not confrontational. This is where labor and management sit down, work together to mutually discuss challenges and solutions to the problems that face this city. I would just again like to thank you for putting this on the agenda. It's important that you do it for your citizens and also for the security of the people that protect those citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. David House. If you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. I'm David House. I come before you tonight, I guess I want to say I need your help. I don't know if you're aware or not, but the city council agenda information, this sheet, and the UP things that we saw today, all fall under the Freedom of Information Act, under 2.2-3703, meetings to the public. And I had a hard time getting information relative to the meeting tonight. Per the Freedom of Information Act, that information is supposed to be posted on the city's webpage 3 days before the day of the meeting. So today does not count. So that information is supposed to be available for citizens to view by Thursday. This information here, which is the meat and potatoes, because it tells me everything that's happening with the city council, it wasn't available. And I reached out to everybody, and everybody kept pointing the finger at somebody else's job to put it on the website. And I finally reached out to Peter, and he sent me an email 4:45 and got that information to me. So if we could be diligent to make sure that the information is posted ahead of time so that citizens like me can review, because the other package was 367 pages long to review. So the first page that you see is actually for Mr. Moody, because he addressed one of my emails. And this is the notices that are put out by the Planning Commission. And from eligible to event space, and then to where the writing is like this small that you can hardly even see it. It makes it difficult. I mean, you have to get out your vehicle and like get within a foot or 2 feet of the sign to see the information. And my question is this too. So the BZA, which is affiliated with the Planning Commission, when they have issues that are addressing properties that are in their jurisdiction, and they're going to make recommendations or comments or change the code on, okay? How is that information conveyed to the residents in the neighborhood? I've never seen a signage for a BZA for anybody in the neighborhood to know that they're going to do a change to that. So I'm asking, how do we get visibility for the BZA information that's important for the residents and the community to know that there's going to be a change to a property that could impact them? And so my last thing is I guess one of my pet projects over in West Norfolk. So the top picture that you see is progress that was made, I guess, 2 weeks ago. They went in there and they had tow trucks and tow trucks and tow trucks and tow trucks and towed a lot of stuff away. But now we're like a highlight game. If you've seen that highlight thing for kids where you pick out something, where's something hiding at. So now the pictures that you see were the items that were identified at the property, and now the owner has moved them throughout the neighborhood to other properties. So now we have instead of just his 2 little properties, so now we're impacting the whole neighborhood. And I would ask that somebody from council or from zoning or from permits and inspection to give me some information back on how we're going to address these, because every one of these now is a violation that impacts not just his property, but the neighborhoods as well now, because they're right across the street from houses that they weren't across the street from anymore. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Sergi O'Neill. Sir, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. I am Sergi O'Neill. I reside at 2101 Nashville Avenue here in the city of Portsmouth. I had a question. I wanted to know if the city of Portsmouth has ever considered having a citizen grant review committee. And the reason why I say that is, as a member of 2 organizations within Portsmouth United, I think it's more than needed that we have a body that oversees of citizens, that oversees community grants and how they're issued and making sure that they are managed appropriately. Some of the information that we got as far as some of the changes that are coming, that were proposed for Portsmouth United's funding structure, I think it would behoove the city council to really look into those and to make sure that they align with city values. I don't think that some of the changes that have come about, and I get it, there is a need for checks and balances when it comes to finances amongst other things, but we have to make sure that they reflect the values of the city and make sure they are done in a manner that does not deter organizations from participating in such movements, such as Portsmouth United. I think that we have to be very careful of how we put things out when it comes to grassroots organizations, right? A lot of these organizations don't have the financial backing. They don't have some of the knowledge that is needed to put some of these things in place. And so I think, with the city's responsibility would be to provide the education so they can know exactly what would be looked at, what would be needed to help out. So it's a two-way street, right? So again, that's just something that I was interested in. I saw that other cities like Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Charlottesville, Falls Church, they all have grant some type of committee that reviews grants or whatever the case might be to make sure that they're in compliance with local, state, and federal ordinances and laws, whatever the case might be. Also, they're managed fairly, make sure they're distributed as they should be. That way the citizens can have insights as what goes on. Because a lot of money comes through the city by way of grants, and we need to know what those look like and how they're managed as well. Another thing that I wanted to touch base on, I saw that there is a new initiative, Project Impact, that is a response to gun violence or whatever the case might be within our city. I would like to say, I would have hoped that that is really looked at, and hope that is expanded to make sure, and whatever information comes about, or how organizations can even get involved with Project Impact. Because I saw, some of the city departments that may be involved in it, but what about other organizations that may want to become part of Project Impact? Like, how can they help assist? Because I do believe that community response is needed. However, I would hope that it's just not limited to city department entities. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Christopher Hines.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Christopher Hines, Kingsgate Crossing. I'm kind of going to say a lot of what Mr. Neal just said, maybe a little bit more details. I'm speaking on behalf of Portsmouth United and the changes that have been made to how you apply for these grants. One is the timing. We are already behind because the funding took a little while to be secured. But then the stipulations that have been set in place, the first line on the example letter would wipe out half of the organizations that are receiving funding from Portsmouth United, and it read 2 years of audited financial statements. And you could feel the pressure come out of the room because a lot of people just don't have that capacity. And then again, the timing, there are certain organizations that work directly with the schools that are unable to fund their programming because we just found out that all these stipulations were being set in place. I also think it was unfair to Ms. Matthews. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say names, right?
No, you're not.
Well, it was unfair to the organization that no one from the city was there to answer the questions that she, quite frankly, didn't have the answer to. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to say too much, but I do think that maybe city council needs to get more involved. Oh, I'm going to say this last thing. There was another stipulation in there that people from different localities of the city, employees have to review the grants. And I would like to bring up a important fact that these people are not sitting in the room with the people working with Portsmouth United. They may not be familiar. There could be some bias there. I just want to put that out there, but thank you.
Councilman Tillage, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Carter, could you, I believe an email went out in regards to a new meeting being scheduled by Portsmouth United in regards to the real new process. Could you just provide some clarity to the public regarding the purpose of that meeting?
Manager Carter, you have the floor, sir.
Absolutely. I think there was some miscommunications internally about some processes. One thing I will say, as a city manager, I probably get credit for a lot of things that I didn't do, right? But also I get blamed for a lot of things I didn't do either. So this process we're talking about, it became news to me when I heard about it. But when I did hear about it, I made sure I reached out and corrected that process. What's happening is Portsmouth United is a grant organization, but they also spend money to buy goods and services for the city. And when you spend money to buy goods and services for the city, there's a procurement process that you have to go through. When you're a grantor, there's a notice for funding opportunity and an application process you go through. And I think they got confused about what those two things were. They started trying to put the procurement pieces on the grant piece. But I've since got wind of that, made sure that that has been resolved, and the grant process is now back to a grant process and not a procurement process. So Ms. Matthews has that information. I think she shared that information and called another meeting to try and get that information out.
I appreciate it. So I would encourage, first of all, if you're a part of Portsmouth United, you should have already received that email. But I believe the meeting will be September the 10th. And so please, I encourage you to attend that meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shaniqua High. Ms. High, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, City Manager. I'm Shaniqua High. I live in the 1800 block of Deep Creek Boulevard. I'm here tonight just to express some concerns as well. I have.
Ms. High, could you please speak into the microphone?
I'm sorry.
A little bit. We want to hear what you have to say.
I'm here tonight to
Thank you.
address some concerns as well in reference to Portsmouth United. Some of the issues I've been having, I have sent emails directly to the proper chain that I felt like I was supposed to. I have still been rendering services in the city of Portsmouth for case management, and I just wanted to address those issues that I have in private. I'm not opposed to doing so in a public forum, but I do want to address the issues that I've been having. And I have spoken to members of council, as well as sent emails in reference to my matters. That's all that I. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ms. Tiffany Stewart. Ma'am, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Tiffany Stewart. I'm a lieutenant paramedic and the president of Local 539 that represents firefighters in Portsmouth who serve Portsmouth daily. On July 14th, our union came to City Council and gave a deadline. Bring an ordinance outlining Resolution 23-373 to a vote in 60 days. Tonight, I am encouraged to see council moving forward on this process and bringing it to a public vote. I'd like to zoom out for a moment because this isn't just a fire department issue. There are other city employees here tonight, and I'd like to acknowledge them because none of us do this work alone. Public utilities keeps the water flowing that we depend on for fire suppression. Fleet mechanics maintain our fire trucks and ambulances. Police respond to the same emergency calls and provide critical security. We're not separate departments operating in isolation. We are one system, and the city's ability to deliver services to residents depends on every part of that system functioning together. You'll hear tonight from federal firefighters from the shipyard, Local F-25, who provide mutual aid to our city regularly. They already work under a collective bargaining agreement. What that tells us is this is not hypothetical. It's a functioning system already in practice and close enough that some of the people answering calls in Portsmouth are living it already. I want to explain what collective bargaining really is at its core. It's a structured, mediated process where employees and management sit down together, negotiate the terms and conditions of work, and reach an agreement that both sides are bound to honor. It doesn't take away management's authority to manage. It adds something that currently doesn't exist, a process. Right now, Portsmouth operates under what's called Administrative Policy 17, Management's Rights. It gives the city authority to change staffing levels, benefits, schedules, job duties, and personnel policies at any time, with no requirement to notify employees or work through the impact that it has on them. That's not a criticism of any one person. It's simply how the current system operates. A collective bargaining agreement changes that in one specific way. When a policy is going to change something that affects our terms or conditions of employment, we're notified. And there's a process to work through it together. That's the entire ask. Not a veto, not control over a budget. A seat at the table before a decision lands on us instead of after. Retention is an issue that must be addressed. Having a contract would be an enormous incentive, and the city that's worth staying for doesn't cost less than a city that isn't. It just spends money smarter instead of paying for it twice, once in retention and again in recruiting and training someone to replace the person that already knew the job. In 2023, this council recognized that and voted to adopt a collective bargaining process. I hope this council sees fit to adopt that ordinance for their dedicated public workers. I genuinely look forward to watching this process work forward, including this week's meeting with Mr. Carter. And most important, I look forward to providing safeguards and improving standards for a better Portsmouth and for the men and women who make a dangerous career out of helping strangers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Miss Alexandra Westfall.
Good evening again. My name is Alexandra Westfall, and I'm here on behalf of the West Haven Civic League. Just want to say thank you for your time again tonight. I'm here to shed some light on a few issues around the neighborhood. One topic you all are very familiar with is zoning. I've spoken about it many times before. We've been engaged with different civic and community leaders and a few council members in the last few months and weeks on the concerns we still have with the current special exception process for single-family dwellings on narrow lots, and additional concerns with the current proposed amendment presented to the Planning Commission earlier this month. This proposal essentially removes all standard interior side yard setback requirements, nominally 7 feet, up to 3 feet as a by right process for 3 zoning districts in the city. We understand that West Haven does not have a large number of these narrow lot developments when compared to other neighborhoods in the city, and we understand that some neighborhoods are pleased with this development. What we don't understand is why do our concerns continue to get dismissed? Why does the character, scale, and density of our neighborhood or the adjacent properties not appear as a valued consideration or evaluation factor in these developments, now in the current process and in the proposed amendment? Lastly, as mentioned earlier, there is still concern about the lack of due diligence in evaluating current systems' capacities to take the additional stress and load of these denser developments. This refers to stormwater and sewer systems, as mentioned earlier, as well as the street capacity to support extra parking and appropriate fire and life safety access. I appreciate Mr. House's comments earlier about poor legibility of signage and notice to nearby properties when the meetings change and or are rescheduled. Something else, switching gears, something else that degrades neighborhood character and lowers property values is gun violence. As you may have seen on the news, we have had some activity recently and throughout the summer in West Haven. Thankfully, it's been an isolated, focused situation, and by the grace of God, no one has been injured. No one should be living in fear, and we are happy to know there is a unified approach to tackling the threats and safety concerns in the community. Neighbors and I are sleeping better knowing this person has been evicted, yet while they are no longer in that home in our neighborhood, we wonder where did they go and what trouble will go with them. So we look forward to hearing and learning more about what the project impact will do and how it will be holistic in its approach. That's all I have today. I just wanted to take some time to acknowledge a couple of those things still pressing, and looking forward to continued involvement and community feedback with you all. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Ms. Sheila Joseph. Ma'am, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes.
Sheila Joseph, 139 Grand Street, Portsmouth, Virginia. What I wanted to bring an idea that I wanted to address our water bill. You remember how we did the schools when y'all was doing a budget, and you used the schools for the citizens to come and speak out and give their opinion? I feel that we need to do something concerning our water bill, because a lot of us are still having issues. For whatever reason, you might don't see them coming, but they talk about it among each other, and that ain't the place. They need to come together and address how they are paying the water bill, and each one of us are having different issues as if we are not. I feel that if we bring our documents showing what bills was paid and when and how, even through the different struggles with the old software and the new software, we have issues. It was times that they couldn't print things, and it was a time with the new software they couldn't print things. And then we was told, some of us, to go and get a print way from downstairs, and when we did that, we couldn't get it, so we had to use an old bill in order to pay a current bill. So I have all this stuff that been going on that I can say for myself, and other people might don't be, feel comfortable to talk about it. The other thing I wanted to say, I have went through process. You hear me talk about the stop sign with the blinking lights. It's a process that you have to go through in order to get that done. Even though I initially asked for lights, street light, like we had on Duke Street, but it was suggested to use the stop sign. Well, even though when I went through the process about that stop sign, I noticed one of the stop signs have been taken away for somebody decide to use it for something else they want to do in the city. But I thought once you got approved, that information supposed to be there. And I would like for somebody to explain how they came about. I know where someone in the community told me they saw it at to use in the city for some educate other people about things. But I won't go into it. I can talk to anyone that's in the seat that want to talk to me and go and verify. But if I'm gonna do things to get approved and go through the process, I don't think it should be removed for safety purpose, because it was accidents there. And the police most likely accommodate letting them know that it was needed if it wouldn't have never been approved. The water bill is real getting bad because I never spoke to you all how I felt about we have our address on the water bill, but nobody never told me what the purpose of putting your property parcel number on the water bill. And the first thought I came up with, if you don't pay your water bill, maybe they put a lien on your house. So I got a letter in the mail with this new water bill talking about they're gonna want people to get delinquent. Well, I'm not having delinquent, but I'm being accused of. So I need somebody to organize in the city to address the issue of people not delinquent and let them bring their document. I was asked to do checks front and back, and I refuse to do it anymore because I feel that another job in my statements is good enough. There's no way you could pay a bill and not be, posted. And what's going on, the equipment or whatever's happening in the water department that's responsible for to post our bill when it's paid. And I keep paying it in advance, and maybe sometimes I might be creating an issue because sometimes I pay bills 7 days in advance, sometimes more, sometimes less, but never late. So I'm trying to find out how we can resolve showing that I owe money that I don't owe.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Leslie Taylor. Ms. Taylor? Our next speaker is Mr. Daniel Logan. Mr. Logan, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of council. My name is Daniel Logan. I'm the president of Tidewater Federal Firefighters, IFF Local F25. I am a federal firefighter serving at NSA Portsmouth, right here in the city of Portsmouth. Through our mutual relationship, my fellow federal firefighters and I routinely provide fire and emergency medical services in support of the city of Portsmouth. When Portsmouth needs help, we respond. When we need help, Portsmouth firefighter and paramedics respond. When that alarms sound, no one on the fire ground is thinking about whether the patch on other firefighters' shoulders say City of Portsmouth or Department of the Navy. We are firefighters. We have a job to do, and we do it together. I am here tonight because I believe Portsmouth firefighters deserve the same kind of meaningful voice in their workplace that federal firefighters already have through collective bargaining. I work under a collective bargaining system every day. And I want to be clear about something. Collective bargaining does not prevent management from managing. In the federal system, management retains significant authority over the mission, budget, organization, staffing decisions, assignment, discipline, and operations. Our fire chiefs still are fire chiefs. Managers still manage. But employees have a recognized voice and a structured process for addressing issues affecting their working conditions. That matters tremendously in the fire service because when firefighters raise concerns about staffing, apparatus, training, overtime schedule, fatigue, safety, recruitment, and retention, those aren't just employee concerns. They become more community safety concerns. Collective bargaining gives firefighters and management a table where those problems can be discussed and solutions can be negotiated before problems become crisis. It also does not mean handing over the city's checkbooks. Virginia law protects city council authority to establish the budget and appropriate funds. Bargaining does not require council to surrender that responsibility. What it provides is a process where management and employees can discuss priorities, working conditions, recruitment, retention, and safety, and find solutions together. It is not every solution costs us money. Sometimes it's a better policy, schedule, or communication. Sometimes management hears directly from the firefighters who are riding apparatus and doing the job every day. This does not weaken management. This just makes better management. Trust between firefighters and their leadership, between employees and city management, provides stabilization within a department. Portsmouth invests significant taxpayer dollars recruiting, hiring, training, and developing firefighters. We should want those firefighters to stay here because building careers here become company officers and eventually teaches the next generation of Portsmouth firefighters. I serve this community from NSA Portsmouth. I've responded through mutual aid and supported the city. I've worked alongside Portsmouth firefighters, and I want to tell you that whether we are a federal or a municipality, the fundamental issues facing our profession are very similar. And I'm asking you to choose firefighters over management. You don't have to choose. Good collective bargaining recognizes the firefighters, the fire department leadership, city council, and citizens of Portsmouth sharing the same goals: a safe community. Federal firefighters have collective bargaining. I've seen firsthand that it can work without taking away management's abilities to management. So I respectfully ask this council to give the firefighters who protect the city the same opportunities that I have. When the alarm sounds, we stand together. It's time to give Portsmouth firefighters a seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Merle Rutledge. Mr. Rutledge? Okay. Our next speaker is Mr. Chris Hollis. Mr. Hollis, you would come forward, state your name.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, distinguished City Council members. I just want to give a shout out to City Councilman Tillage and City Councilwoman Thomas for motioning to the floor of collective bargaining. One thing I do want to say is I've been doing this for 23 years, and that is advocating for workers' rights. I'm still a worker as well. We have a collective bargaining agreement in the city of Richmond, and it works. We represent the RPS bus drivers in the school system. Those bus drivers have fundamental minimum education. Some of them can't even read. And I'm not calling anyone out, but I'm simply saying they have like 30 years of experience, 20 years of experience, and they're making $30 an hour under collective bargaining. They're able to feed their families. Some of them live in low-income areas, and now they're able to buy a home, right? It gives them opportunity. It's not a us versus them, right? It's about us working together. We're going into our second tier of our collective bargaining agreement. So it's year 4, 3-year contracts, right, for the first term. And we're going into the second one under federal budget restraints. So it's not all about money. It's about working together to get things done. We always focus on 4 areas: wages, benefits, working conditions, and the grievance process. When I came up to this building today, and it's like deja vu, and I want to give a shout out to the IAFF, Sister Tiff. Well, I was up here 3 years ago in November, standing side by side in support of you guys passing a resolution. So I want to commend you for passing that, because it inspired other areas, such as Newport News. July the 14th, they passed an ordinance. But it took time. It took stakeholders, labor unions. We all sat at the table for 8 weeks. We developed a task force. That means that everybody sat at the table, including workers, who gave input and feedback on what their working conditions are all about. They didn't wait on somebody to tell them what to do because they know their job. But to be able to sit at that table and have a voice and be able to echo to leadership what you need is powerful. Working side by side. You can't beat that. We can't expect for any of you guys to make decisions for these workers knowing their jobs. You hire them, right? You guys are losing a lot of experience. It's a lot of retention. There's minimal retention. When I seen that sign on your wall down in the side of the building, I'm like, oh wow, they're hiring for jobs? Because people are going to Norfolk, workers are going to other areas. And it's not just because of the pay. It's because they're not being treated with dignity and respect. A lot of them have issues with the supervisors. There is like a system that is so close-knit that their voices don't even matter. So when you have collective bargaining on the table, these workers have a platform. They have union representatives. Workers themselves become empowered as shop stewards inside their workplace, where they're not about to tattletale or snitch on anybody. No, it's not about that. It's about addressing issues from a level to management level, and you have that dignity and respect to do so. So I'm here today to just commend you all for what you did 3 years ago. But the 3 years later, and we still don't have an ordinance, we need to think about that. Because there's so many of us in here, labor unions, the IBEW, LIUNA, the IFF, so many. We're here to support you, to get this thing passed and get this ball kicked down the road. Because enough is enough when it comes to lame duck issues, not wanting to move anything. Because of fear, I don't think so. I think that y'all are intelligent enough, that y'all are bold enough to make the wise decisions for the working class. And we need to sit at that table with the city manager. We do that in Richmond. We do that in other cities. Why? Because it works. We have a partnership. We don't expect for you to know everything. But together, we can get things done. So again, please take your time and think about this. So we're waiting for September. But if you look out here in the audience, all these vacant available seats, workers are scared. They're being told on their job if they say anything about signing a union card, they're going to get fired. Where do they do that at? Right? So, city manager, I would love you to look into those issues because you should have an inherent right to collectively bargain. And so, peace and solidarity to all of you. I dropped the mic.
Our next speaker is Michael Barber. Please come forward and state your name. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Clover, Vice Mayor Moody, members of the Portsmouth City Council, and everyone in attendance. My name is Michael Barber, and I'm a LIUNA organizer. I'm here tonight because I believe every city employee deserves respect, dignity, and a real voice. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. My eyes are fucking bad. Shit. Deserve respect, dignity, and a voice in their workplace. My team and I have spoken with city employees, and we've heard concerns from workers who say they fear retaliation or intimidation for exercising their legal right to organize. No worker should have to choose between their job and their rights. Just across the river in Newport News, the city adopted collective bargaining ordinance. That decision recognized that when workers have a seat at the table, employees and management can work together to solve problems. Portsmouth now has the opportunity to take that same step forward. A collective bargaining ordinance is about more than wages and benefits. It's about a fair process and representation when workplace concerns arise. I respectfully ask this council to support a collective bargaining ordinance that protects employees' rights to organize. Thank you for your time, your service to the city of Portsmouth, and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Melvin Smith. Mr. Smith, if you would come forward, state your name. You will have 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melvin Smith. I'm also a city worker, and I'm here to support the city workers. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That concludes our speakers for the evening. Thank you all for participating. Please drive home safely. This meeting is now adjourned.